Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion. Please find Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. We 4 wins in a row. Last one, I don't even want to talk about it. It was so unbelievably simple. Even a child could do it. Yeah, 68. Q Y1T. It kind of looks like it says quit, but I will not. When every rational, conceivable, believable, inconceivable piece of evidence tells us to stop, the contrarian side of us says if everybody's telling us to stop, we better keep going. Game of the year, ride the heck retribution. Okay, Steven, I'm gonna enjoy this. It's finally my time for revenge. Okay, so Spirit Hearts would be nice. Alright, that's the one way to do it, I suppose. I'm gonna do a little bit more exploration, you know? We have a very, very good run right now. Shears is an actual, like, legitimately S-tier spacebar item in my world. We do have a bomb, so we can take advantage of that, but I'd also like to see if we can just get a Shears charge. Stats are good, except for HP, but we can work on that. Little Brim, oh dude, that's so good. Thank you for the cash. Little Brim is, basically, for years I had like a little metric to conceptualize the value of Little Brim, and I still believe it. I think that Little Brim can carry you just about to the womb too. Thank you. I think we might as well go to the shop. We don't really care about an arcade on the next floor because we don't have any red hearts. I think we'll take the battery. Might seem a little funky, like you might be like, why take the battery when you could have taken a key, kept a lot of money, and you know, you're not wrong about that, but I think that, you know, when you have an advantage like this, like a lot of money on floor 1, why not, like, you know, invest it immediately, get some value out of it, and then try to make a move from that point onwards, if that makes sense. Oh, dude. Getting the HP upgrade there is just unbelievable. And gave us the space required to go to that curse room. I'm feeling like, I mean, I don't know why I'm wasting all this time talking strategy. It's like being the Edmonton Oilers in the 1980s, and we've got, you know, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, Ken Lowe, Glenn Anderson, Paul Coffey, Grant Fuhr, and we're like, oh, you know, well, I was thinking, Wayne, you could carry the puck into the offensive zone, and then you'll dish it off to Yari Curry, who will then do a cycle pass to go. Yeah, just give Wayne the puck, okay? Give Wayne the puck and keep your stick on the ice close to the net. He'll deflect it in off of you. Don't worry about it. A bomb for 2 bombs. I can live with that. You know, we're in a very good position. Just about the only thing that could screw this one up is being a little bit over-aggressive on a deal with the devil, or alternatively, taking a bunch of silly damage. That's my major concern right now. Money is just not an issue for us here. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? Again, if you look at the track record, you know, if you were to graph my tolerance towards Isaac over the course of the past, I don't know, 6 months, we're in a very low spot right now, and I just call it like I see it, you know? It's not my intention to lie or mislead my audience and be like, you know, when I lose for what I feel are silly reasons, at least, ha ha ha, it's still a fun time. I mean, it is still a fun time, but I'm also not one of those guys who's like, come on, man, what's so many red fires? That's crazy. What's the spot? You know, I try to, believe it or not, my perception of myself, my own self-identity, is that I complain in only 2 circumstances. One is, I complain in situations where it's warranted, and 2 is I complain when I got nothing else to talk about. But, you know, we're in a bit of a lull in terms of, you know, unbridled Isaac positivity. So I'm going to take the advantages that the game has seen fit to give me, and I'm not going to throw them away like a fool. And I'm going to hope that this will lead us to a place where we will be more positive. Because, you know, our own attitude, to a large extent, I think controls the way that we interpret things. You ever notice that? Like, when I always caution people when I say stuff like this. I don't have an anxiety disorder. At least to my own knowledge. But, you know, pretty much multiple times a week, if not daily, there will be things that I'm anxious about. Sometimes those things are rational, sometimes those things are unrational. Irrational. So stupid! I'm joking. And I notice, you know, when you're anxious, you interpret things differently. You know, when you're worried about something, you get a phone call, you're like, oh, that's it. It's the bank calling to tell me that Bonnie and Clyde broke into the vault and all my life savings are gone, you know? When you're in a good mood, you get a phone call. You know how you interpret it? You go, oh, somebody's calling me. When you're anxious, somebody hits you with a ping on Discord or something like that. You're like, oh God, what is it now? When you're in a decent mood, somebody pings you on Discord. You go, oh, I wonder what Mathis wants. My good friend Mathis is sending me another missive. Missive can be used for just, you know, platonic, non-romantic friendships as well, right? It's not exclusively meant for love notes. Now I got a great little bit going in my head. You know how there's one of those tropes in fiction? Well, and in real life, I suppose. Where, like, you know, the grandma will pull out, like, an old box from her attic. And then the grandson or granddaughter's like, Grandma, what's this? And she's like, when your grandfather was away at the war, he wrote me once a week to tell me what was happening. And, you know, that's when he proposed marriage to me, was in one of those letters. Yikes. I'm thinking, like, that situation, but for millennials and zoomers, where you just keep an old cell phone that has all of the raunchy texts that they send to one another. Hey, baby. WYD, question mark. Smiling imp. Look, I'm working on it, okay? It's called the Galaxy Notebook. Get it? The notebook, but it's a... Okay, the Galaxy Note is a cellular telephone. I don't know if they still make it. It used to be a... to be honest with you, I don't really follow the cell phone logic that much. That was a really strong performance on this room. I have a Samsung Galaxy S7, I believe. I got it perhaps 4 years ago. And I never, to be honest, I just don't see a reason to update. You know, it's got all my files. I know this sounds like I'm 100 years old right now. It's got everything I want on it already. The cameras have gotten a lot better, but my photography skill has not gotten a lot better. I still think that, you know, there's more juice to squeeze out of this camera. That I could be responsible for, as opposed to, you know, the phone could be responsible for. Look, I know that I'm not an outlier necessarily, but probably, I don't even know if I'm in the minority. I would say it's contentious, okay? There are people out there who, you know, once every 2 years they like getting a new cellular telephone. And I think that, you know, the way that the cellular contracts are set up kind of incentivizes this, right? You know? If you get I don't know if it's still the same now. You probably still have to pay a little bit more because the phones are a little bit, you know, they're substantially more powerful than the LG chocolate I got in 2008. But, you know, when you get a 2-year contract, you technically are paying for the phone, but you're paying for it, you know, by adding, like, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks to every monthly payment or something like that. When your contract's done, you can get another one. It's like leasing a car or something like that. And, you know, based on the parking lots that I see around Vancouver, and, you know, I see, you know, September to June, they got a BMW in there, and then June to December, they got an Audi in there, and then next year, they got an Alfa Romeo in there, and then next year, so I'm telling you, there's some leases going around here. But I don't know, I admire I value the familiarity, I suppose, more than I value the novelty. Basically, the thing for me is, I'm sure if I got a new cell phone, I would be like, man, this new cell phone is sick. There's so many cool features here that I didn't even know existed. And I'm so glad I bought it. But then, and this is actually like hewing very close to my philosophy for life. And I'm not being sarcastic, and that makes me very anxious here because I'm revealing a vulnerable side of myself. However, after like a couple of months, you just sort of get used to that change in the quality of your cellular life. You know what I mean? You go, at first you were like, yo, thank you. At first you were like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then after, don't hit me. All right, fair enough. After, 2 months, you're like, if I had to rate the performance of this phone, I would give it, like a 7, the same rating that I would give my old phone. It's a philosophy that I actually, believe it or not, I buy into. Sometimes, I don't want to be introduced to the technology or the food or the, climate that is new hotness. Because I worry that you just get adjusted to it. And then after that point, you have higher standards for the rest of your life that, cost you more to actually get to the same level of happiness. You know what I mean? Now that, before, maybe you were eating, or you were just drinking no-name brand sparkling water. All of a sudden, someone goes, hey, check out this LaCroix. You drink the LaCroix. You're like, oh my God, this is so much better. Next can of no-name sparkling water you got, it tastes like ash in your mouth. Unfortunately, no-name sparkling water, 10 cents a can. LaCroix, 75 cents to $1 per can, so, at least in Canada. So now all of a sudden you're on that, you're drinking LaCroix, spending 8 times as much money per can just to get to the same level of happiness that you perceived yourself to be at in the first place. You know what I mean? I don't know if this, I think people can relate to this. This is a distillation of quite honestly, a lot of my philosophy. Sometimes people are like, you should try this thing. You'll like it. Or like, maybe I've been eating Kraft peanut butter for years. And they're like, check it out, dude. This is Adam's peanut butter. It's 25% more expensive than the Kraft peanut butter. But it's delicious. And then I, have a hesitation to try it. And they're like, don't worry, you'll like it. And I'm like, no. What I'm worried is that I'm going to like it too much. And now you just raise the amount of money I'm going to spend on peanut butter for the rest of my life by 25%. How dare you? What a destructive action. And you might say, and this is where it gets not complicated, but perhaps counterintuitive. You might say, NL, but if you like the peanut butter more, isn't that worth it? And I'm more like, sort of. What it really, here's the thing. If you had asked me to rate the Kraft peanut butter, I would have given it a peanut butter out of 10. Now that I know that there's better peanut butters out there, it's a 0. It's not as good. So in its own way, I don't think I'm struggling to come to terms with how to say this. But do you understand what I mean when I say the ridiculous things that I'm saying right now? Essentially, just because you like it more, how does that actually impact your enjoyment of it? This is where I need the rest of Team Unity to come and bail me out of this one. Not because I think I'm in the wrong spot, but because I need their perspective. I kind of, like post-vacation depression, is when you go to, I don't know, like a tropical locale or something like that, which I literally have never been to, but anyway, you go to a tropical locale, and then you're sitting on the beach, you're sipping Mai Tais, and you're like, I didn't know life could be this good. And then when you go back, to your job, you're feeling a little down, you're feeling a little depressed. You didn't know how good life could be. But you were content in your ignorance. I guess that's what it is. The idea that ignorance is bliss when it comes to some of this stuff. Just give me the poison bombs. We should have probably sucked it up. You know what? I think we will suck these up instead. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm making any sense at all. think it's the idea that I'm not afraid to try new things. That's mostly just satirical. However, you know, sometimes you get introduced to something so delicious that you just go, ah, crap, now for the rest of my life I'm gonna be like, you know, I used to drink, or I used to, do we have both keys? We do have both keys. Alright, never mind, we didn't need to fight those guys. I used to have a bowl of cereal for breakfast every morning, then things were going real well after Rebirth came out. I started having smoked salmon and cream cheese, and now I'm like, every morning I'd just have a protein bar for breakfast. I'm like, I could really go for some smoked Pacific salmon right now. That's mostly satirical. I still get the salmon now and then, but not so much for a breakfast thing. It's more like a quick, you know, high protein snack. And also, contribution to me eventually getting mercury poisoning, perhaps. I don't know, I have a... That is actually, it's like part of my philosophy. I think I got it from my parents, you know? My parents, both of them grew up, you know, pretty... I don't want to say poor, because it's not really... You know, in a global sense, that's not accurate. But they grew up wanting, is maybe the more appropriate term to use there. And then, you know, they've done pretty well for themselves. I don't say pretty well like, you know, oh, there's room to work on, Mom. And just like, you know, pretty, they're not, you know, the Waltons, the family that owns Walmart, but they're doing totally fine, you know, they've done well for themselves. But, you know, sometimes we'll hit them with a little bit of Pacific bouginess when we go. We'll be like, hey, have you tried, you know, kombucha? And then they'll be like, nah, but I don't really want to. And I realize now that it's like, you know, although they have the means, they're happy with their current lifestyle. So why risk it, you know? Nobody has ever, I think, in their entire lives, when they've been content with their existing situation, might as well try, right? Been like, ah, you know what? I thought my life had meaning, and then I switched from soy milk to cashew milk, and now everything just snapped into place. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I feel like I've been trying, but maybe spinning my wheels just a little bit. And that's okay. It's fun nonetheless. Forget Yara here. This is another amazing run, by the way. Trying to think of a good example. Here's a good example, okay? And I mean, things change in your life as well. Like, you know, you don't have to be like Warren Buffett. Maybe you're, you know, you've done very well for yourself financially. You don't have to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for dinner every day. You know, if it makes you happy, then that's good. But if it doesn't make you happy, you could probably throw in, you know, like some quinoa somewhere. That's right, a peanut butter and quinoa sandwich. It sounds delicious. However, you know, whatever. I'm spinning my wheels. When I was in college, I looked forward, I treated myself to a dinner once a week. It was 2 slices of pepperoni and bacon pizza from the pizzeria down the street. Of my college house. It was like $2.50 Canadian a slice. Just, you know, first off, it was 10 years ago, but they were also like big slices. It was not a rip-off price by any stretch of the imagination. And honestly, for like days in advance, I would look forward to that, like, you know, 7 or 8 minutes it would take to eat those 2 pieces of pizza. Nowadays, you know, there's been a little... lifestyle inflation. If I ate those 2 slices of pizza, I'd still be happy, by the way. I mean, I would have to think about it, because, you know, I gotta fit it into the macros. But anyway. But, you know, I've eaten so many other delicious meals that, as a 19-year-old, I was not privy to, that I'd be like, you know, this pizza is good, but it's not the best pizza I ever had. But has my overall level of happiness gone up as a result of the new things I've been introduced to? I don't know. I know this might sound like a it's kind of like a somber bit. I don't really mean it that way. I live a very, like, contented life. But, you know, part of my own journey of self-discovery as I've gotten older is realizing that, you know, I think I like the familiar. I like the routine. And all the secret life of Walter Mitty's of the world have lied to me and told me that, you know, if you're in a routine, you should go try to become a professional longboarder in Iceland. You should go eat some gross stuff. Go eat some 1,000-year-old egg or something like that. Live a little. Whereas now I'm like, dude, you lied to me, Benjamin. Ben Stiller, you lied to me. I was happy with the pepperoni bacon. Now all of a sudden I don't even feel full unless I'm shoving caviar from the Bering straight down my gullet. That's not true. I've only had fake caviar. I don't even like it that much. I would just be eating it to put on airs, to be honest with you. It's maybe a slightly, not controversial, but again, like a little unpopular decision, or opinion, position, whatever you want to say here. I like sushi, I like seafood, I'll eat all the weird seafoods, I don't care. I've eaten, you know, the obvious ones, of course. I've eaten sea urchin as well. I've eaten, you know, a deep fried head of a spot prawn. You know, like this stuff, it doesn't bother me. I'll try anything once. Or many, many times the case would be in this case. But the one thing, you know, seafood-wise, I don't really enjoy. I don't enjoy the fish eggs. I eat them, well, it depends on the situation. But, like, if I got a roll that comes with fish eggs on it, I kind of, like, I don't meticulously, you know, make sure that I've taken them out. But I'll, like, kind of rattle the roll a little bit to get the fish eggs off. And then if I have, like, a sushi combo that comes with the fish egg piece, I'm like, nah, I'm just not going to eat that. I've tried it enough times in my life. I know, I mean, I still, you know, again, probably like once or twice a year, I just eat the piece out of a sense of boredom, I suppose. And to see if I've changed my position, but I'm not much for the fish eggs. I gotta be honest. I wish I were, cause they're ever present. But it's never really tickled my fancy, to be honest with you. I know I've espoused the philosophy that, like, I mean, this is my most ridiculous opinion. My philosophy that all foods taste roughly the same to everybody, and if you don't like the taste of a food, it's probably more, for most people and most foods, it's probably more of a mental block than it is any sort of, like, actual neurological displeasure. On an intellectual level, I'm like, that's dumb. But on my heart of hearts level, I'm like, I believe that. Science will vindicate me one day. You're like, NL, that's stupid. What about the cilantro gene? Okay, you know, if you have the gene that makes cilantro taste like soap, more power to you. That one I'll allow. But for everything else, I don't know, man. I'm like, human beings, you know, genetically speaking, we're different, but we're also, like, the same. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just don't believe that the human physiology, I mean, this is just, this is ignorant, to be honest. It's just this is one man's incredibly unpopular and unscientific opinion. But to me, it doesn't make coherent sense that there would be, like, any sort of evolutionary basis for so many different foods to taste so different to absolutely everybody on planet Earth. I think instead, it's more likely that there's an evolutionary advantage to feeling like you're special. And instead, you're like, well, I don't know, just chocolate cake has never really tickled my fancy in this area. See, that's a joke at my own expense there, because I'm the guy, everybody else is like, you know, you want a slice of cake? And I'm like, nah, I don't really like it. I'm not saying I live my life by my own ridiculous principles. I'm just saying I don't, I think that kale tastes roughly the same to me as it does to you, but you got some kind of weird mental association going on in your brain when you eat it, that you're like, this is a dark green garbage bag, okay? Don't take it out on the kale, is what I'm trying to say. Don't hit me, please. Is it just a modestly spicy situation, but I think we will be completely fine. Again, I think in this situation, I should be afforded the right to have an ignorant opinion, as long as I recognize that it's ignorant and devoid of any evidence or supporting, corroborating data or experiments. I don't mind when people are ignorant. It's just when people are ignorant of their own ignorance. That's the most annoying part. I always give the example, like, you know, when the news asks people, they do like a survey. Hey, do you think climate change is real? We asked 100 people who don't know anything. And you know, 79% said yes, but 21% said no. Okay. Could you not just like contact the local university and see what percentage of people that work in the field believe in it? Because like, that seems like much more relevant data. It's, you know, who cares? Wait, my people, and you know, I'm not the first person to say this, nor is this the first time that I've said it, but you gotta have a healthy ability to swallow your pride and say, I don't know. You know how many times, you know, it happens on the show all the time. People ask me like a controversial question. They'll be like, hey, how do you feel about this issue that you know nothing about? I feel like a lot of streamers get themselves in trouble. They start talking about an issue. You know, they feel that just because people, you know, are watching them, they got to start having these opinions that, you know, they got to be like a source on every subject. And I'm like, nah, dude, people started watching you because you're good at League of Legends. Somebody comes up to you and says, hey, how do you feel about, you know, blah. You don't have an obligation to be like, I just play the game. You can say whatever you want, don't get me wrong. But you also don't have an obligation to be like, hey, here's my opinion on, you know, a sensitive sociological issue. You are well within your rights to say like, you know what, dude? I like, I don't have an opinion on that, or I would need to learn a little bit more before I would feel comfortable having my opinion out there publicly, you know, especially as even a pseudo-public figure. You know, you get a lot of people, oh, careful, are paying attention to what you're saying, and, you know, inevitably there's people out there who are like, I hate drama. By the way, like, when was the last time you spoke to this person that you did a collaboration video with one time in 2012, and then you're like, oh, we haven't spoken for a while, and then, you know, all of a sudden you got a subreddit post. Are they still friends? Just watch the videos if you like them, or don't watch the videos if you don't like them. It's cool either way. All I ask is that you watch the videos enough that I can continue to buy smoked salmon once every 2 months. Okay, a good statistical improvement here. Honestly, this is one of the very rare situations where I think we may benefit. Oh, come on, I thought we were still invincible. We may benefit from fighting Mega Satan. Not just because it's, like, faster, but because I think it might be safer. But first, I'm going to collect on the battery, and I'm going to make sure that we have 2 charges. Once we get 2 charges, we'll probably go fight Mega Satan. I know, no streamers listen to me, by the way. That's why you might be wondering, why is Zen always talking about other streamers and throwing shade directly or indirectly, usually indirectly because he's a coward, in his videos? It's because other streamers, sometimes they come to me for advice. I'm like old Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? I've been doing this job as long as it's existed, more or less, and people are like, hey, NL, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, here's my take on it. And they're like, that's really cool, but it disagrees with my own assumptions, so I'm just going to do what I was going to do anyway, but I had hoped that you would just tell me I was right. That's why I have to come here. And then I go, I'm not like other streamers, I'm a cool streamer. But I always find, you know, I get interview requests for now and then, and sometimes, like, it's not common. It's not like literally every day, you know, the press is beating down my door, but it's usually like, hey, something bad has happened, you know, and video games have been cited as a possible cause. So, you know, you get an email that's like, hey, you know, blank newspaper would love to interview you about, you know, recent horrific act that cited video games as a potential cause. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to decline that interview. I think that's, you're giving me a suicide pass here. And no matter what I say, it's not going to come out the way that I would want it to come out. And moreover, I don't know if I'm the kind of person that should be leaving a comment on this stuff to begin with. I don't know anything. I just play Isaac, you know? And then I inevitably see that, you know, some other streamer took them up on the interview, and they gave very nice, nuanced topics, and then invariably the reporter goes with an angle of like every 10 seconds, a new subscriber shows up in his channel, and he earns, you know, blah, blah, blah. He, in his beautiful La Jolla, California home, and you're like, dude, this is... You asked me for my opinion of violence in video games. All of a sudden, you're throwing this kind of rhetoric out here. Anyway. So basically what I'm saying is shut up and play. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is keep buying the no-name goods as long as you can. Because once you get used to the name brand, it's harder to go back, you know what I mean? It's always easier to move up than it is to stomach the moving down, if that makes sense. So use your old cell phone as long as possible. That's the enduring legacy here. Use your old cell phone as long as possible. So I mean, I would like to like shoot, but I don't know. I feel like Blue Baby's only friend is doing fine. I'm also a little surprised that apparently the shears just literally can't hit Mega Satan, I guess. I don't know. Beats me, brother. We got him. Don't get me wrong. He is extremely gotten. That was a very good run. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!